Hello and welcome in our YouTube channel Metallurgical Facts. This is the second part of this series, that is RINL Vizag Management Training Exam 2020. We are doing the practice of metallurgical part in these videos, and I hope that you must have watched our previous video, that is part 1 of RINL Vizag Management Training Exam 2020. So the questions might not be new for you, but the concept you will learn here may be new for you. Okay, so do the practice together and try to learn new things and new concepts through these videos. So this is the second part, and we will try to give more and more videos in this series before the RINL exam. So taking the first question of this video, in the thermodynamics, the law of conservation of energy is expressed in the form of, okay, so they have given four options, that is zeroth law of thermodynamics, the second one is first law of thermodynamics, the third option is second law of thermodynamics, and the last one is the third law of thermodynamics. Okay, so the question is the law of conservation of energy is also known as, so this is easy question and we can do easily, but we should think about the other options, what we can achieve, what we can learn from the rest of the options which is not correct, and why those are not correct. We should try to learn from those options. Okay, so we will try to learn from these options, and the first option is zeroth law of thermodynamics. So this zeroth law of thermodynamics is known as equilibrium principle. Okay, so this zeroth law of thermodynamics is also known as the law of equilibrium, okay, or equilibrium principle. The first law of thermodynamics is known as, this is well known law, and this is known as the law of conservation of energy principle. Okay, so this is the correct option, and this law is represented by del q is equals to de plus del w. Okay, so this is the mathematical formula for first mathematical representation of first law of thermodynamics. So you can get this also in the upcoming questions. Okay, so this is the first law of thermodynamics is known as the conservation of energy principle. Okay, so the second law of thermodynamics is also known as the law of entropy, the law of entropy. Okay, so the second law of thermodynamics is known as the law of entropy, and the third law of thermodynamics is known as the law of temperature. Okay, so now we know that zeroth law of thermodynamics is known as equilibrium principle or the law of equilibrium. The first law of thermodynamics is known as law of conservation of energy or conservation of energy principle. Second law of thermodynamics is known as law of entropy. Okay, so third law of thermodynamics is known as the law of temperature. So the correct option of this question is, the correct answer of this question is B part, that is first law of thermodynamics is also known as the law of conservation of energy. The next question is, which one of the following is not the irregularities of the blast furnace? So they are asking about irregularities. These irregularities means the problems created during or before and after the process of the blast furnace. Okay, so these are the four options, that is hanging, slip, tapping, and the last one is breakout. Okay, so we will try to understand about these four, what these four are. Okay, so the first one is hanging. Hanging generally means when the uniformity of charge burden, in the furnace is interrupted by any means, the situation is known as hanging situation. Okay, so this is basically the irregularity of blast furnace, so this is wrong option. And the next one is slip. Okay, the slip is the situation when we lost the control on the falling of charged material or burden material during the furnace operation. So this situation is known as slip. The third option is tapping. Tapping is basically the furnace operation. This is the furnace operation. This is not blast furnace irregularities. So in tapping, blast furnace operation which is used for removing the slag or molten metal from the furnace. Okay, so this is the blast furnace operation, not irregularity. So the correct option of this question is stepping. So the last option of this question is breakout. Breakout means this is the term used to denote the conditions and the results of the escape of gases and coke or slag or iron from the base of the furnace or towards breast and the hearth of the blast furnace. Okay, so this is also a irregularity of the blast furnace. So the correct option for this question is C option. Tapping is the correct option because this is the blast furnace operation, not irregularity. The next question is, calculate the dislocation spacing in a symmetric 2-degree tilt boundary in copper which has an FCC crystal structure with the lattice parameter 0.362 nanometers. Okay, so we know the tilt boundary angle, that is 2 degree, and we know the lattice parameter. So we will write first. So we take theta as an angle. So this is 2 degree, and lattice parameter, that is a is equals to 0.362. Okay, this is in nanometers. So we know the formula for the tilt boundary for the tilt boundary uh, and the relation between the dislocation spacing and the Berger vector, magnitude of Berger vector, basically, that is tan theta is equals to b by h. Okay, so sometimes we use theta is equals to b by h also. So we will see what is the problem, and what is the problem generally people face in this type of questions. Okay, so tan theta, so this Berger vector, that is b is equals to, that is FCC structure. So we know for this Berger vector magnitude will be equals to a by under root of 2. Okay, so now we will put these values here and we will try to find out this h, which is basically the dislocation spacing. So tan 2 degree is equals tan 2 degree is equals to uh, b b value is basically a by under root of 2 root 2. So 0.362 by root 2, this value will be equals to 0.25601. Okay, now we will put this value b here. So that is 0.25601 by h. So when we will calculate tan 2 degree, that will come to 0.03492, and this will be equals to 5601 by h. From here we can calculate the h value and we will get 7.33 in nanometers. Okay, so this is the right answer, 7.33 nanometers. Now we will see by this route what people do generally, that is theta is equals to b by h. They put the value 2 and b value, that is 0.25601, and h they calculate h from here, but they forget to change this degree value in radian. Okay, so if you won't change this degree value in radian, you will get wrong answer every time. So before going through this formula, we need to change this degree value in radian. How we can change this degree value? That is 1 degree is equals to 1 by 57.3 radian. Okay, so whenever we will take this formula without theta, we will change it into radian. So when we will do this 2 by 57.3, the value that will come is 0.03492. So this value is same as tan theta of 2 degree. Okay, so so when we will calculate by using this formula, we will get same h by both the formula. You can check by your own for any of the questions. If you get problem, if you are facing problem during solving this type of questions, you can ask in the comment section or on our Instagram page. uh, you can message us. Okay, so the correct option for this question is 7.33 nanometers. So the next question is a property that cannot be obtained from a tensile test. Okay, so they are asking about the tensile test. The tensile test, we do the tensile test and we get the curve of engineering stress and engineering strain curve, and we get the curve like this, and we get many more things here in curve. Okay, so they have given the four options for this question, that is Young's modulus, yield strength, ultimate tensile strength, and endurance limit. Okay, so these Young modulus can be obtained from the tensile test. How? This is the formula we use for getting the Young's modulus, that is E value. Okay, so yield strength can also be get by doing the tensile test. Ultimate tensile strength can also we can get by doing the tensile test. Okay, this is also known as UTS, that is ultimate tensile strength. So the next and the last option is endurance limit. So endurance limit is the term that is used in fatigue test. Okay, so endurance limit, whenever we do the fatigue test and we draw the curve between the stress amplitude, and this is the cycles to failure. Okay, at x-axis cycles to failure. Whenever we draw this curve, we get a curve like that for most of the material. So this is the limit which is known as endurance limit. Okay, this is the limit, this is known as endurance limit. So endurance limit is the stress level below which which an infinite number of loading cycles can be applied to a material without causing fatigue failure. Okay, so this endurance limit is also known as fatigue limit. This endurance limit is also known as fatigue limit. Okay, and this is also known as fatigue strength. This endurance limit is also known as fatigue strength. So these are the three names which is used for endurance limit, and this endurance limit is related to the fatigue test. So the correct option for this question is D part, that is endurance limit. So the next question is of matching type question. So match the following metals with their extraction processes. Okay, so in one side we have given the few metals, and in other side there are few extraction processes. We need to match these options to each other. Okay, and we need to find the correct answer for this question. So I already told you that for matching type of questions, we will not directly jump to the options for checking our answers. Rather than jumping to the options, we will make our own option. That is, we will write P, Q, R, S, and then after writing this P, Q, R, S, we will try to find the odd one or the most commonly. Okay, so for this question, the most common thing is that, or the odd one is that gold is a noble metal, and the extraction process which is used for gold is cyanidation. Okay, so the we can match P by 2. This is 2. Okay, so the next one is that is easy for me, and I generally heard about the process, that is Crolles process. Crolles process is generally used for the titanium. So Q we can match by 4. So we got two options, that is 2 or 4. So from here we can identify that these A, B and C option does not contain 2 and 4. So we can match directly D part. But this is the practice session, so we will do every options. We will check everything. Okay. So magnesium is generally extracted by using the Pitgen process. So R is 1. We can match R by 1. And nickel, the rest one is will be for nickel. Okay, so Mond's process is used for the nickel. So the correct option for this question is D part. So we will know about the Pitgen process. What is the Pitgen process? Okay, so Pitgen process is one of the method of producing magnesium metal. Okay, so this is the method of producing magnesium metal. Magnesium metal is produced by using ferrosilicon. Okay, ferrosilicon is used as reductant in this process, and the thermal reduction is done for the production of magnesium by this route. Okay, so the next one is cyanidation process. Okay, cyanidation process is also known as cyanidation process. I will write here. Cyanidation process is also known as MacArthur Forest process. Okay, so this is also known as MacArthur Forest process. This is a hydrometallurgical technique. This is a hydrometallurgical technique for extracting the gold. We can extract gold from a low grade ore, from a low grade ore. So this is most commonly used leaching process for gold. Okay, so the cyanidation process is used for the extraction of gold. So now we will talk about the Mons process. So this is number 2, that is cyanidation. This is number 3, that is Mons process. Mons process is basically used for the production of nickel. So this process is also known as carbonyl process. Okay, so this process is also known as carbonyl process. In this process, generally we purify or extract the nickel. In this process, nickel is treated in presence of carbon monoxide. Okay, so we get nickel. So we get nickel tetracarbonyl. Nickel tetracarbonyl is a volatile compound or volatile matter which is decomposed at a high temperature, to produce the nickel or to produce high purity nickel. Okay, so Mons process is used for nickel. The next one is Kroll's process. This is most commonly used in metallurgical processes. So we all know about this process, and the Kroll's process is used for the titanium production. Okay, so in this process, TiCl4 is reduced by using magnesium, and we get the titanium which is in solid form, that is sponge titanium, that is also known as sponge titanium. So the product of Kroll's process is sponge titanium. Okay, so this is the explanation for this question, and the correct option for this question is D part. The next question is, which one of the following alloy system exhibits complete solid solubility? Okay, so from options we can see that the Cu, that is copper nickel, is most commonly used alloy that exhibits the complete solid solubility because it follows the Hume-Rodri rules. Okay, this is one of the condition which must be followed for exhibiting solid solubility. Rest of the options are wrong. These options does not follow the Hume-Rodri rules, and this doesn't show the complete solid solubility. Okay, other than copper and nickel, a few alloy systems I am writing here which exhibit the complete solid solubility are AgAu. AgAu is one. The next one is germanium silicon, that is GSI system. The GSI alloy system also exhibit the complete solid solubility, and the other one is cadmium and magnesium alloy system. This also exhibits the complete solid solubility. So for Hume-Rodri rule, I have created one video, that is chemical and metallurgical terminology part 2. You can check the Hume-Rodri rule there, and you can have a better idea by that video what is the solid solution and what is solid solubility. So please go through that video and brush up your knowledge regarding the Hume-Rodri rules and solid solubility. So the correct option for this question is A part, that is CuNi, which exhibits complete solid solubility. So the next question is the temperature of the antiferromagnetic to paramagnetic transition is called. Okay, so they are asking about the transition between antiferromagnetic to paramagnetic changes, and they have given four options, that is A, the Curie temperature, B, antiferromagnetic Curie temperature, C, Néel temperature, D, Debye temperature. Okay, so the Curie temperature, we all know that what is Curie temperature. Curie temperature is the temperature where of where a ferromagnetic material or ferrimagnetic, both ferromagnetic and ferrimagnetic material get changed into paramagnetic. So this temperature is uh, known as the Curie temperature. Okay, so whenever we heat the material and that gets changed into ferromagnetic to ferrimagnetic, and ferromagnetic and ferrimagnetic get changed into the paramagnetic. So we say that that is the Curie temperature, and this temperature is a reversible point. Reversible temperature means this is also applying, we can also apply for cooling purpose. Okay, so Curie temperature is not correct option for this question. Antiferromagnetic Curie temperature, so this option doesn't make any sense. The third one is Néel temperature. Okay, so we will see Néel temperature. What is Néel temperature? Néel temperature is also known as magnetic magnetic ordering temperature. Okay, magnetic ordering temperature, where antiferromagnetic to paramagnetic changes take place. So at this temperature, Néel temperature, this antiferromagnetic to paramagnetic transition take place. Okay, so the correct option for this question is Néel temperature. And the next option is Debye temperature. So what is the Debye temperature? Debye temperature is the temperature where above this temperature, above this Debye temperature, the material, the heat capacity of the crystal is constant. Okay, and below this temperature, heat constant of the same crystal increases with the cubic of the temperature. So they changes, the heat capacity changes with cubic of the temperature. So this temperature is known as Debye temperature. So we can say that Néel temperature is the correct option for this question. Thank you guys for your attention. Hope you guys have learned something new in this video, and we will try to add more and more videos if we will get positive response and valuable feedback from your side. Okay, so please give us feedback in comment section, and subscribe our channel and press bell icon to get notifications for upcoming videos.